Greetings. I'm Reverend Deborah Johnson, also known as Rev D. Welcome to Inner Light Ministries. Just take a breath, breathe in the beauty, the majesty, the generosity of this thing called life. Life is in session. Okay, it is not a spectator sport. We're in it. And we're here to be in it together. So glad to be on this journey with you. The labyrinths of our lives are intersecting at this exact moment. No accident. Whatever it is that's brought you to this place and this space, this is the right time. Even if this is the second, third, fourth time that you're actually coming back to this particular program, it's still the right time. Okay. We can never exhaust wisdom and understanding. Don't ever get to the point where you feel like did that, done that, understand that, know that. If you keep coming back, you will get something new. That'll even happen with something like a movie or a book. If you've seen something before and you've seen it a number of times, when you come back that next time, there'll be that extra nuance, that certain little something that you didn't pick up before. And such as it is with life, that every time, every day, there is something new that we're learning. Every day, there's something that's coming across our conscious awareness that's a blessing to us. Isn't that extraordinary? That we are in something that is completely inexhaustible, that can be fresh and new every day. Wow. That's what life is. We're here to experience that. We're here to get refreshed, rejuvenated, renewed. We are transformed by the renewing of our minds. at Inner Light, we honor all paths. We honor all paths that are leading to spiritual truth, that are leading towards social justice, environmental sustainability, and regeneration. You may consider yourself to be a religious person. Maybe you don't. Maybe you consider yourself to be a spiritual seeker. Maybe you don't. You're still in the right place. We are a radically diverse and inclusive spiritual community coming from all different kinds of walks of life. Perhaps you've participated in something that's more earth based. Perhaps you've been in something that's a little more Eastern or Far Eastern traditions. Maybe you've just questioned this whole thing from beginning to end. You're not sure there's a God per se, but you think there's something. You believe in something. Maybe it's love, maybe it's life. You are welcome here. You're welcome here. Let's just take another breath. We're about healing. We're about growth. We're about transformation. We are about the omni-faith energy of love. Omni-faith, that it's the essence and the energy of faith stuff itself without being attached to any one particular institution or tradition, that love is bigger than that. It can't be contained, that it's energy and the revealing of our own inner light. That's why we're here. And we share and we provide tools for living that encourage the practical application of universal spiritual principles to all of life's circumstances. They're universal because nobody can have a patent on them. If it's true, it's true, it's true, it's true over here, it's true over there, it's true tomorrow, it was true yesterday. And what I know is that if we apply the ancient wisdom of these universal spiritual truths to all of life's circumstances, we find that we unleash within ourselves greater possibilities for more joy, more peace, more loving, more prosperity, more health, all of it. Today, we're going to be talking about courage and fortitude. Courage and fortitude. So, one of the tools that we offer are our spiritual activations. It's 100 words, change your life. It's 100 words, and if you say them, and if you repeat them, if you let them find a resting place within you, to root within you, they blossom. They bear a fruit that really is so sweet and a true blessing to your life. If you are able to, I'm going to invite you to say these affirmative activations with me now as they come on your screen. I have the compassion to be kind when I don't want to be. I have the fortitude to keep going on when I'm tempted to give up. I have the courage to restrain my fears rather than entertain them. I remain centered when monkey mind tries to distract. It's my attitude I have control over, not the circumstances. My perception defines my experience. Messing with me versus blessing me is my choice. Wrongdoings and disempowerment never have the last word. I proclaim being greater than facts and more divine than conditions. Resetting daily, I recalibrate to higher frequencies. Hmm. Just breathe that in for a moment. Soak it in and see if your attention gravitates towards something in particular. Maybe it's, I have the compassion to be kind when I don't want to be. Perhaps it's wrongdoings and disempowerment never have the last word. Or I have the courage to restrain my fears rather than entertain them. Or resetting daily. I recalibrate to higher frequencies. I invite you to come back to this and notice if there's something in particular that's really calling you, and to give whatever that is just a little bit of extra attention in your affirmation through the week, and allow it to take deep, deep, deep root in you. Yes. So we're talking today about courage and fortitude. Those two things, in particular, in honor of this in real time being the 4th of July weekend in 2024. So we are very close to having an election coming up upon the conventions of the two major parties in the summertime. And needless to say, it's just a really interesting time in the nation as it is around the globe. Something like over half the world's population will be going through the electoral process this year. That's a lot. That's a lot of change. That's a lot that's going on. The courage and the fortitude. One of the things that's really, really important right now is that we pay attention to our energy field. That what's called upon for us now is to recalibrate. That's a word that I use all the time. But that recalibrate is when you are become aware of your energy, your frequency, how you're vibrating, what you are emitting, what you're feeling inside, what's running on and over and over and over as monkey mind in your consciousness, where your attention is gravitating towards. Okay. All of those things need to come into alignment with where you want it to go. Okay? Where you want it to go. So when we recalibrate, it's when we deliberately shift and we deliberately change so that we come into alignment and we synchronize. We synchronize. We're in lockstep then. Okay. And we're always in a process of recalibrating. But what are you calibrating with? Okay. Are you calibrating with the news, with social media, with the dramas du jour, health conditions, financial problems? What is it that you're synchronizing with? Okay. Because when you calibrate with it, you're vibrating at that frequency. You become its emitter, you become one of its transmitters, you are part of its multiplication and magnification. This is what happens when we calibrate with something. We so align with it that we are part of its perpetuation. We are part of its continuance. So ask yourself, really, just like ask yourself, what am I calibrated with? Where am I aligned? Sometimes we are aligned with things that we don't even realize that we are aligned with. But you know where you are aligned wherever your attention is. Where is your attention? Okay. We're talking about courage and fortitude here. Courage and fortitude. Courage, actually, linguistically speaking, comes from the root word of heart. Of heart. Courage is something that we all have, just like fortitude is something that we all have. We just have to tap into it. A lot of times when we are exhibiting our courage, it isn't conscious. We are reacting or we are responding. It's that fight, flight, freeze reaction thing where there's some way that we're just showing up kind of automatically against some sort of perceived threat. You know, there's a burning building and you run in to save somebody before you even think about it. You jump into the street and push the child out of the way of the moving car before you even think about it. Okay. Those are heroic efforts. And yes, there is that kind of courage. But we're talking here about the kind of courage that comes from choice. It comes from choice. When you realize that you do have options, they may not be good options, they may not be the best options, but you do have them. I'm talking about that choice to be courageous when you anticipate that there's going to be some kind of ramifications from it. That by exercising this courage to take this action or this stance, to even allow yourself to contemplate a certain something or feel a certain kind of way, is going to be breaking away somehow or another, either from the norms or the expectations, or even just the immobilization of fear that either you and other people have also been in. These are some of those earmarks of courage. But courage doesn't come from the outside. Courage comes from the inside. We have to give ourselves permission to be courageous. It's part of our spiritual DNA, so to speak. It's one of our innate properties and characteristics as we have been divinely created, but we have to activate it. Kind of like all of us have a certain degree of talent, musically speaking, artistically speaking, but we'll never know what that is until we activate it, until we put it into motion. Well, such as it is with this thing called courage, that in order for us to really tap into that inner courage, we have to choose it. That may seem overly simplistic, but it's not. It's not waiting for it to suddenly fall upon you. It's not looking for something external to give you permission, validation, or even to spawn you towards it. It's some kind of catalyst or motivating factor. I'm talking about the courage of choice, of choice. Now, when we get to that point and we take these acts of courage, it's typically to be in alignment with something, to be in alignment with what we know to be truth. Let's just take a pause right now, this in for a moment. This is the kind of courage that we need on our spiritual journey, where we're not just accidental travelers responding to things that are coming at us, but where we can intentionally move in the direction of our growth, move in the direction of our healing, move in the direction of our transformation. We're talking today about courage and fortitude. So, courage is that energy that we need to make that conscious decision to do it, to take the action, to stay in it. The fortitude is our capacity to do it. Okay. So the courage is like the willingness, the drive, the desire. And the fortitude is our actual ability to do it. Okay. So what we need with the fortitude, we need a certain degree of stamina, okay, of strength, of endurance. We're going to need some resilience, some ability to be able to go through something and come back. There's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be obstacles and things that we have to come up against. But it doesn't mean that that has to get us down. Okay, this fortitude. I'm going to be teaching pretty soon an online course within the next week or two about spiritual sustainability. We're going to be going over a couple of parables and doing metaphysical interpretations on these parables. And one of the parables that we're going to be taking a look at is called the parable of the two foundations. It's the story that's at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, the very end of the 7th chapter of Matthew in Scripture. And in this particular parable, Jesus has been talking and he's telling people that if you hear these words and you do something with them, then you're likened and compared to the wise man. And when the rains and the floods and the storms, that all of this stuff beats upon your house, the house still stands. And if you hear all this stuff, but you don't act on it, you don't do anything with it, you're likened to the foolish person, okay, who builds their house upon the sand. And when the winds and the rains and the floods and all these things come, that house falls. So the one who listened and did something with it is likened to the wise one who builds their house upon the rock. And the one who doesn't do anything with it is likened to the foolish one that builds upon the sand. But here's the thing is that both get subjected to the same stuff. The same floods, the same wind, the same rain beats upon their houses. One stands and the other doesn't. Okay. But it's not because one got subjected to other things. Okay. It's not because of the outer conditions. It's not because of that. The difference between whether the house stood or fell was the foundation upon which it was built. Okay. This is the kind of fortitude that I'm talking about. This fortitude, which is not just being able to withstand a whole bunch of outer things and drama and adversity and whatnot that's coming your way, but the fortitude for you to build upon the rock. The rock. See, the rock stands for the everlasting, the things that are not in the transitory temporal world of people, places, and things that are always coming and going. Okay. The rock is this place where you're able to ground yourself in concepts, in principles, in ageless wisdom, in things that are above and beyond your own personal experience. You're not getting your cues from the outer environment. You're not getting your cues from the drama du jour of the things that are just going on in the day. You are being rooted in something where you can get nourished. Okay, you can get replenished. Okay? So it takes both. It takes both. Courage alone without the fortitude isn't going to do anything. Okay. If you have the courage, but you don't have the fortitude, you'll get in there. You'll try to make the changes. You'll try to do the growth and the healing, but you'll lack the capacity to do it. Okay. You're going to get bowled over by the circumstances and the conditions of life. And on the other hand, if you just have the fortitude, but you don't have the courage, then what happens with that fortitude, instead of it being offensive and helping us move in the direction in which we want to go, that same fortitude often becomes defensive, where we're simply in a state of trying to protect ourselves and we're not really making any progress. We're just trying to hedge against some kind of loss, but we're not growing and we're not healing and we're not transforming. Courage and fortitude. So, why have I chosen those two spiritual qualities for us to focus on right now in this 4th of July weekend? Well, because that's what we need. I, you know that the 4th of July is the recognition and it is the anniversary celebration of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Now, this Declaration of Independence was notification that the British colonies in the United States gave to King George in England to basically say, we're breaking off. We are separating. We are no longer going to be under the subjugation of the British Empire. We are declaring our independence. In this document, it goes on and it explains why it's doing so. But the part of the Declaration of Independence that most people that people are the most familiar with is the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, when it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We don't even have to get into the who's the we and who's included in this endowed by their creator equal, and everybody's equal, because you know that they weren't talking about women, and they were only talking about a very small segment even of male population. The notification of the independence was to what had been over them. What had been over them. It would be kind of like when 16, 17, 18-year-old starts really, feeling themselves, and they start trying to declare some kind of independence in regards to their parents. They, particularly if they're 18 or close to 18, they'll pull the well, I'm grown card, or like, I'm an adult. And what they're saying is that they perceive themselves to be more equal to the parent in this Declaration of Independence, that we're created equal here. They're not necessarily including in that their idea of their younger siblings or anybody else. It was just in their relationship to who they thought was above them. But be that as it may, it was this profound spiritual document in that its reasoning, its justification, its rationale was a certain self-evidence. If something is self-evident, it doesn't have to be proven. This equality was bestowed by a creator. See, this is transcendent of laws. This isn't about a constitution. This isn't about some legislature creating something. No, it's saying that there's something that's preeminent, something that is pre-existent. And because of this pre-existent reality, we have the right to take this action. We have this right to go towards independence, autonomy, sovereignty, self-determination. That took a lot of courage and fortitude. I contend that this is an ongoing process, that our need to have the courage and the fortitude to declare our independence from the outer world of effects, from the dramas du jour, from all of the social milieu, all of the stuff that's going on, that's trying to define us, that's trying to confine us, that we don't have to turn to that for validation and security, because we're made of something. We've been created by something that's so far transcendent of all of that external stuff. So, this is a reminder that we have to do to ourselves all of the time. Far beyond the politics of it, it was an affirmation of a certain state of existence, a certain state of beingness that we have as human beings that becomes the foundation, that becomes the rock, so to speak, upon which the house of our nation gets built. Take a breath. So, what happens with the foundation is that when a foundation is built, it presupposes the structure that's going to be on it. So, how much expansion you can do, how many extra stories that you can build, all of that is going to be conditioned upon the foundation. If you have a one-story house, you can't put a six-story building on top of the foundation for a one-story house. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to retrofit the foundation. You're going to have to increase it. You're going to have to make it bigger so that it can hold the expansion, which was not originally part of its design. Okay. This is where we find ourselves today as a nation. The foundation of these quote unquote founding fathers, we the people of the Constitution that they created, didn't include everybody. It just didn't. They did not have in mind a interfaith, multi-ethnic, multi-gendered. I can go on and on. That was not the society that they imagined. And we find ourselves struggling here with trying to make the addition, so to speak, trying to get more stories, trying to make room for the expansion of the idea of the more perfect union that we can be, and the incredible depth and breadth and beauty of our diversity. A little big problem is that we're trying to do all of that on top of this one-story foundation. Okay. And it's going to take some courage and some fortitude on our part to retrofit this foundation, to expand it, to revisit it, who we are, in fact, as a people, and where is this that we're going? This is an ongoing, not only endeavor, but experiment. I really want you to let that sink in, that the democracy that was created back in 1776, 4th of July, this democracy was an experiment. There had not been a lot of examples of this kind of government that had come out of Western societies that were part of the Roman Empire. Wasn't happening. Now, indigenous tribes had always had different kinds of forms of government, many of which were far more egalitarian and inclusive. But that's not what was created here. I often say you become what you don't forgive. And the founding fathers trying to get away from the feudal lords, trying to get away from the kind of hierarchies that they had been subjected to in England, and they came and basically recreated the same thing. They just shifted the caste system a little bit so that they weren't the ones at the bottom. They were the ones at the top and put themselves in the position then to be able to exploit and or subjugate other people. This experiment takes ongoing engagement. We talk about this being divisive. Now, the United States has always been divisive. From its earliest, if you read any of the documents, you'll see just how much debate, just how much divide. Part of setting up individual states was to try to get around the disagreements, sort of agree to disagree, letting everybody run their state the way they want to, like individual residences in a neighborhood. Like you can have certain rules in your house, but I don't necessarily have to go by those rules in my house. And yet we're all on this block together. So at the point in time when they created this Declaration of Independence, a compromise was made. A compromise for the divisiveness. Now, one of the issues that they just could not resolve was the issue of slavery. Did people have the right to enslave people from African descent? Did they have the right to do that? Now, I know that may seem like a stupid argument to be having today, but it was a very big argument and they could come to no resolve. So they came up with a compromise of creating a union that was equal. 50% of these new states could be slaveholders and half couldn't. But you see how razor thin this is. So much so that they created a Mason-Dixon line, like right at Washington, D.C., that divided the nation in half, saying half below this line can practice enslavement, half above this can't. But there were real discussions going on about, is this right? Is this the way that it should be? My point is that we're still in these discussions. We still have the divisiveness. We still have these countering ideas about what America should be. My contention here is that it takes all of us. It takes all of us. This is not something that we can acquiesce to other people, that we each, if we want to be a part of this great experiment, and live here, and to have this experiment of democracy to continue on, not just a nation, because the chances of us just still being a nation are really good. The extent to which we'll still be in this experiment of a democracy of equality, kind of up for grabs right now. And I'm not being just, my niece used to call me exaggeramental, by saying that. I'm saying that it's really true. And if you care, if it makes a difference to you that we have a democracy, that it be preserved, that it be not just preserved, but be improved upon and expanded, then now's the time to muster up some courage and some fortitude. I'm just saying. The courage to speak up, to stand up, to vote for what you do want, to not just acquiesce, to have the fortitude to withstand an onslaught of nonsense from misinformation and disinformation and bully pulpit attacks and all kinds of things. We do not have to succumb to that. We don't. We can be like that house that is built upon the rock that still stands. We may not be able to stop the wind and the rain and the storms and all of that, but it doesn't mean we have to crumble with it if we're standing on a solid foundation. And that's my invitation to you. My invitation is to practice some courage and fortitude. Those moments when you might feel scared or wondering what's going to happen, when you might feel paralyzed or disenchanted even. Muster up that courage. You have it. It's who you are. Muster up that fortitude. You have it. It's who you are. It's part of that endowment by your Creator. It's yours. It's yours. Believe in yourself. Believe in us as a nation. Most especially, believe in the divine. Believe in divine order and right action. Believe. We're going to take this to prayer. We're just going to turn within. We're going to know and declare God is all that there is. One power, one presence, one energy, one creative force. That's all that there is. We allow it to infiltrate our very being, to magnify our consciousness, to animate our spirit, to quicken our imagination. We allow this omnipresence, this omniscience, we allow it to guide our steps, to lift us up above the clouds and storms, to plant our feet on higher ground. And we say, thank you. Thank you, Spirit. In this moment right now, I know I know that God is all there is. It's not fighting against itself. It's living and being in each and every one of us, and we are living and moving in this great field. It's friendly. It's benevolent. It's available. We're connected in ways that are inalienable. In this, we find our strength and our courage, our fortitude. We step up. We show up. We yield. We surrender. We love when we don't feel like loving. We care when we don't feel like caring. We show up when we're too tired sometimes to take the next step. And we are uplifted and supported and given everything that we need. All needs met. Not only the courage and the fortitude, but the joy, the love, the peace, the compassion, the forgiveness, the balance, the integrity, the harmony, the justice, the awareness, the clarity, the balance, the forgiveness, and the reconciliation. All of this and so much more. So we say thank you. Thank you for all needs met. For the sustenance for our daily needs, emotionally, physically, spiritually, for what we need collectively as a nation. The compassion, the insight, the caring, the sharing, the willingness, the determination. For all of those things that are birthing through us right now. For all of those things that are moving along, complete, expired, transitioning into their greater yet to be. We pry our little fingers off and wish you Godspeed. It's all good. It's all done. We anchor in it. We just breathe it in. And you know, at Inner Light, we're a praying community. And if there's a prayer request, something on your heart, something on your mind that you want to be uplifted in, we not only include you in this prayer, but we offer you something special, something just for you. There's information that's scrolling at the bottom of your screen now that lets you know how to get in touch with our prayer ministry so that we can speak that word for you, for your loved ones, for that health condition, that financial condition, that social, political condition, whatever it may be, that collaboration, that new venture. You can reach us by phone at 831-465-9090, extension 254. You can also send us an email. The number 4 the word prayer, for prayer, at innerlightministries.com, and one of our practitioners will get back to you with something really special, all confidential. We got your back in prayer. Let's just breathe that in, and we know it is already done, and so it is. Amen. We just breathe that in. Just breathe that in. Yes. And if you want to find out more about us or stay in touch, I invite you to check out our calendar. And if you're looking at this in real time, uh, that's July the 7th, 2024. Later on in this afternoon, it's the first Sunday of the month. And every first Sunday, we gather at the Resource Center for Nonviolence. This is on Ocean Street, right across from the Paradox Hotel. We're there from 3 to 5. We have all kinds of delicious eats and treats. So stick around and break bread with us afterwards. And I'm really pleased that one of our favorite people, Jamie Lula, is going to be joining us up from Los Angeles. He's an exquisite composer and singer and musician. His music is always uplifting and thriving. So get ready to get your praise on and come together in prayer and in fellowship and joyous celebration where we are celebrating our spiritual freedom. That's what we're going to be doing this afternoon. And if you're not able to be with us in person, we do stream it. So you can check us out on YouTube, YouTube Live. We will be there. And I hope to see you there. Definitely. So our time of conscious giving, our time of conscious contribution, where we participate in that divine circulation. You'll see on your screen the ways in which you can make and support the ministry, which we are so grateful. It's your donations that enable our programming and for us to be able to have our offices and the things that we're able to do. You'll see that there are some different options that are there. You can use your QR code, and that will send you to a portal where you could use a debit or credit card. There's also a recurring option that's there. I encourage you to take a look at that. There's a reoccurring option also in the text to give. If you call that number 831-231-0065, you just text in the amount that you want to give and fill out the information there. Once you do that, you will be in that system, so you won't have to fill out that information again a second time. So it becomes an easy way for you to be able to do that. It's data secured. We go through one of the church platforms called Simple Give for that. You can use Cash App. You can, if you're on the website, do the donate button. Whatever method, know that every nickel, dollar, and dime is going towards healing, is going towards transformation, and empowering this ministry to reach out and to carry this message of inspiration, possibility, and empowerment. And I want you to repeat after me. My every act produces abundance. We dare to give freely unto the truth that sets us free. We release this gift knowing it returns to us a thousandfold. Yes. Remember that your generosity returns to you. It returns to you. Thank you, all of you who have been pledge partners with us for years. Those of you who give your tithes and your offerings. And if you want to put a little something extra in there for teen camp this year, just make a notation. We definitely appreciate that. And as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to pass this along, like it, encourage other people. Come back, particularly pay attention to the affirmations as well as the message. And this is the time when we take this consciousness and multiply it.